Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 18 of the F124 driver career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Singapore Grand Prix, and of course we come into this one with some big news. Yes, finally the new patch for F124 has arrived. So this is going to be the first race we are doing in this series where hopefully now we're going to see more AI retirements and mistakes, and hopefully the racing is going to be a little bit more interesting as well. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live yesterday from Baku, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. We did actually end up with a safety car inside that race as well, which was quite interesting and certainly changed up the strategy later on in the afternoon as well. Quickly before we dive into this one, I just want to say if you are new around here and you aren't already, please do make sure you hit that sub button as well. We are closing in on 130,000 subscribers. Luckily, I did actually do kind of like a test race over in our My Team career mode on Mat 2 and 2 gameplay, so I can actually confirm that it definitely has made a lot of things a lot better inside F124. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how we get on in these next few rounds as well then. So yeah, exciting times ahead. Hopefully F124, it seems like they are trying to improve the game for the better in the long term as well, which of course is really useful. And you know, hopefully that's going to mean, because I really do want to do a lot of seasons of career mode this year, that obviously hopefully it's going to make things more interesting further on down the line as well. In terms of vehicle performance though, where are we looking? There we go. You can see we're ahead of Williams and Alpine. Kick Sauber have been absolutely nerfed into the ground. Haas have actually seemed a little bit of a bump up in performance. So yeah, us and Visa Cash App now kind of the best of the back markers and not that far away behind Aston Martin. So that's hopefully going to play into our hands as well. Verstappen, I believe this could be, theoretically, the first time he can wrap up the World Championship. He'd need to leave here, I think, with a 192-point lead. So it's a lot, but it is possible. So very interesting then. We made the call a couple of weekends ago that we were going to start saving up some R&D ready for next season, and it looks like rule changes could be announced very soon. So it looks like they're going to affect the aerodynamics of the car most importantly. So we're going to continue saving up our R&D towards the end of the year, but I'm happy my hunch was correct.
It's hot, it's humid, it's one of the most physical and mental challenges of them all. It's Singapore. Welcome to free practice.
Well, returning then to Marina Bay this weekend, it looks like it's going to be very tricky between dry and wet conditions. Going to see a lot of weather changing around the circuit as we get through this weekend. But of course, like I mentioned, we're in the lucky position where I have actually done a race prior to now, so I can sort of talk already about some of the handling changes. Traction definitely is slightly more difficult now to kind of control, but tyre management should be a little bit easier to counteract that. So hopefully, you know, that's going in the right direction as well. Of course, the big thing though is AI and you now can have mechanical failures, and they do make mistakes. So hopefully it's going to make racing a bit more entertaining. They still bunch up a little bit, I found, in races, but nowhere near as badly as they were, as the Singapore circuit on this year's game, incredibly bumpy. Also, yeah, the big priority for us is making sure we get this car ready for next season as well. As through the final corner we'll go. There we go, purple score immediately. We need plenty of those. Well, this circuit, yeah, certainly feels more bumpy inside F124 than it did on last year's game. Through the final corner, though, we are just going to clutch up purple once again. So clearly, we've got the pace through the corners. I'll see you guys in qualifying.
It is one of our great cinematic settings of the season. Welcome to Singapore. We're under the floodlights with the walls close and pole position up for grabs.
Well, as the sun has now set here across Marina Bay, it is time for qualifying. I must admit, though, of course, with the Haas little performance bump, I'm hoping we're going to see Hulkenberg being a reliable Q2 contender now. Obviously, we've been able to get into Q2, I think, more often than not so far this season. Had a really good run to Q3 last time out in Singapore. Not expecting to have that kind of result here, but you never know. We're going to try our best, certainly, there. As you can still see, there's a bit of dampness around the circuit. It has rained non-stop. On and off even, all weekend so far. Luckily, it is meant to be a dry qualifying. But we're only a half a tenth up on Ricciardo at the end of Sector 1. quite comfortably as Bottas getting in my way down towards the final couple of corners. Clearly the Flying Finn is not happy about that. One more corner to go though. Keep it between the white lines. Where are we going to end up? P7. Quicker than Perez and George Russell. And there we go, straight into Q2 then. Max Verstappen fastest on the board ahead of Alonso and Charles Leclerc. Hulkenberg, despite the small boost to the car, still out in Q1. The same for Daniel Ricciardo. But yeah, there you go. Kick Sauber last weekend a podium. This weekend they line up 18th and 20th place on the grid. Alpine also have been bumped. And clearly Yuki Tsunoda is getting on well around this Singapore streets. But as the circuit gets more rubbered in as we head out for our first Q2 lap, Carlos Sainz here, last year's winner around Marina Bay, really does seem to be struggling. Only P11 at the moment, and we might even be able to go quicker than the Ferrari driver. No idea why he's struggling so much.
Down into P15.
Yeah, funnily enough, I'm not too worried about that just yet, Mark, because I mean, what's happened to the stuttering? I mean, we had that in Baku, didn't we? So it's definitely not a, something of the new patch. But definitely seems to be a little bit more common inside F124. Not really sure why it's happening, but it is. Oh, loads of understeer down at the hairpin. That's going to cost us a little bit of time. It's always one of those ones where you don't realise until after you've made it through just how much time it's cost you. And now you can see 4 tenths down on Carlos Sainz. Need to try and get this first lap still on the board. Need to get a good benchmark underneath us already. If, we want to try and make our say into Q3. Oh, again, locking the rears, though. Down at the final corner. Really, really struggling to try and get this hooked up at the moment. It's a very, very slippery circuit. And the time goes and showcases that 6 tenths away from Carlos Sainz in the end. Clearly a few drivers up towards the top of the timings feel they are safely through and into Q3. But as we round the final corners then to start our last lap here of Q2, would love to try see another improvement. We know there's plenty of time to find towards the end of the lap, but it's just whether we can actually find it then nice and balanced through turn 1, 2 and turn 3 to try and roll on the throttle on the exit, just scrubbing off a little bit of time. Just got to try and open up the car ready for the Raffles Boulevard. Way too much understeer though on the way in, and again this Haas car, it's got the pace, but it is just about trying to find the balance and really get the car dialed in where you need it there. Nicely at the top of the hill as you just drop the car off the exit of that curb on the outside. And again, just trying to steer as close to without nudging the walls. Finding a little bit more around the top half of the lap. They're right up to the exit. So we need to try and go quicker than that V-carb here. There's just 3-4 more corners to go. Again, just tip it in a little bit too aggressively, but we'll find the time. Met with even more understeer on the exit, though. There's one more corner to go. Is this going to be enough to see us into Q3? P10! We just scrape it. Well, that was a real banzai effort then at the end of qualifying, and we actually do go and relegate Carlos Sainz out there in Q2, 4 tenths away from Max Verstappen. So this Haas car is working beautifully around the Singapore streets. Less than 300ths of a second covering myself from the Ferrari, but we are through. He is not. Will I go any better than 10th? Well, one more lap then we get here in Q3. I think that's, what, 3 Q3 appearances in a row now? I'm really, really happy with how this car's coming along over 1 lap towards the end of the year. But yeah, I'm certainly not expecting to go any higher than 10th place. Charles Leclerc currently in P9. Ferrari are not working around this circuit. Yeah, he, I think, has done a 28.2 though, so that's a lot quicker than I've been able to go at any point so far this weekend. And again, just see there, where the car's really kind of moving around underneath us. I'm not running low ride height or anything like that, but you can even see it in the steering, how much play there is. I think the car just bottoming out here and there, but yellow's out somewhere, so I don't know if someone else has stacked it. I'm too busy looking at the mini-map. Come on, focus on where I'm driving, Matt. He does it. Much better line through the hairpin that time around. It is a really fun circuit when you get the lap nailed here, as down in towards the final sector. Braking at the 100, slightly too late, but we actually rotate the nose. Car is coming together right towards the end of Q3. Still having to bounce over those bumps, though, so aggressively. It's just through the chicane. Let's actually see if we can nail it. Yep, there we go. Beautiful. Hang it up towards the Lenovo badges on the outside. Tip it through the final corner, completely flat up to the line. P3! we gambled it. We took that final corner completely flat, and it paid off. The car had the grit to stick, and that is our best ever qualifying performance.
Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
I didn't think we would go any higher than 10th, but we end up second of the Brits there, as all of us line up behind Max Verstappen on pole position. Perez, Alonso, Piastri, Stroll, and Charles Leclerc, the final of our top 10. But we've got a huge opportunity, apparently, so let's try not to waste it during changeable conditions in the race.
The spectacular backdrop of the Singapore skyline, something of an endurance race ahead with the notorious sauna-like temperatures for the drivers. It makes it a very physical contest out there. Welcome back to Marina Bay for the Singapore Grand Prix. It is a wonderful racetrack to come to, but it's sometimes been a bit tricky to overtake. We have a new layout to try and change all of that. Reduced to 3 miles, it's turn 16 and turn 19, which has gone from corners to a straight. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday and he'll start from pole position. And Lando Norris lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Mr. Monaco, Hamilton, Russell, Perez, Fernando Alonso, Stroll, Leclerc, Sainz, Tsunoda, Gasly, Oscar Piastri, Albon, Ocon, Ricciardo, Hulkenberg, Bottas, Sargent, and Zhou Guanyu. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
We're hoping you can get some points this race. Good luck.
I'm hoping we can get some points as well. Anything can happen here at the Singapore Grand Prix, and look at that weather towards the end of the GP. In the driver career mode, we had similar circumstances, but the rain actually rocked up way earlier in the race than we were expecting it to. So I think, to be honest here, to try and open up our strategy as best as we can, we're going to start this one on the hards and then kind of see when the rain is going to arrive there. Maybe we'll box onto another set of dries. Maybe we'll just try and hang out for as long as we can. Of course, now we've got the added risk of a safety car potential as well. But standing then here on the grid, waiting on those 5 red lights for the Singapore Grand Prix. Oh, it is a mighty long hole, but it is lights out and away we go. There is clearly Verstappen has had the same idea as me. Look at Hamilton trying to get down the middle in towards... What if Verstappen's locked up? Immediately, Max Verstappen makes the mistake. Lando Norris to the lead of the Singapore Grand Prix there. And Verstappen, I cannot believe he's gone and done that instantly in this race, where the first chance we've got of mistakes to be made by the AI, and the Dutchman has gone and done it there at the first corner. He is way down the order, straight off the start, as Sergio Perez has also opted for the hard compound tyre at the start of this one. But Max Verstappen, he's proven he is human after so few errors ever this season. But how much longer are we going to have to wait for the Dutchman to return to the top step of the podium? Let's not forget, hasn't won a race now since round 12 at Silverstone. Absolutely dominating still in the championship. I think we pretty much said there that he could afford to retire from the next 5 Grand Prix and still be leading this thing. But surely this gives other drivers confidence, ready for next season, that the Dutchman is not so utterly all-conquering there, as Lando Norris, Lewis Hamilton pulling away from myself, though, on lap 1. We're just trying to hang on ahead of Sergio Perez and George Russell, still having to fight the car over the bumps to the best of our ability. Despite obviously a much, much shorter layout, it is still a 31-lap race here at Marina Bay tonight. But it is 3 Brits making up the podium positions at the moment.
No rain expected for the time being. Dries definitely seem like the fastest tyre at the moment.
That is very, very interesting then. So teams saying rain is not on their radar yet. That normally means it's not expected within about the next 30 minutes. Still though, Singapore, one of the longer races on the calendar. Yeah, Norris and Hamilton already really pulling away from me. So they can have a huge advantage here if they were able to extend a pit stop over me, which when they're currently running over a second lap faster might happen. They can afford to one stop and still maybe be comfortably out in front Oh, what is that stuttering, though? Like I said, I haven't had problems with it all season, but suddenly now, it seems to be becoming an issue. But yeah, the closest thing I can describe Verstappen's mistake to was Hamilton in Baku 2021. I can't get over that, and just the fact you got those two huge tyre marks down in towards the first corner. Oh, Hamilton side by side with Lando Norris for the lead of the Grand Prix. Has he gone and pulled off the move? I think they're still side by side. Yes, he has. So Hamilton then, 103 wins to technically, I guess, Lando Norris is 0 still in this series. Will he make it win 104 tonight? Well, I guess the good thing we have at the moment is obviously with Checo being on the hard tyres, he's not really that much quicker than me. So as long as we can keep him at bay down this straight, he's actually doing a very, very good job at keeping the likes of George Russell and Fernando Alonso back as well. So we're kind of working together early on.
Okay,
Two
mate,
people that
we've got high reserves of VRS, so let's try and use some more.
Mark genuinely scared me. There I almost understeered out into the wall. Why does he want me to use so much of my battery? Come on, I'm trying to defend. If this comes back to haunt us, I'm going to be really, really annoyed with our engineer. There we go.
Nice work. Really good job with that target, mate.
I want to get that done as quickly as possible. Battery management here actually seems quite nice inside F124. But as I've said many times as well on these street circuits, I've got to be much more careful about nudging the walls. Tyre wear doesn't look like it's going to be much of a problem though. So maybe we don't have to be so careful. We'll wait and see. Oh no, here comes Checo. Didn't quite spot how much of a run he had, otherwise I should have defended. Can we hook it up around the outside? Or we'll have the inside for the next corner. Sergio Perez, though, willing to put it all on the line at the moment. He'll get the power down. I think he's only gone and had me. Are we going to be able to switch him at the top of the hill? We'll have to use some battery again there just to get back alongside the Mexican. Oh, he runs a little bit deep through the next corner. You cannot do that, surely. Somehow we keep it out of the wall. But Sergio Perez wanted to completely end my race over a P3, which I'm sure would mean a lot more to us than it would to him. Well then, let's see if we can return the favour then on the Mexican, as he's going to spot me and go defensive. To the outside we'll go. This Haas has definitely got some straight line speed where it needs it, but yeah, Sergio Perez way more confident on the brakes. I think this is going to be very, very difficult to regain that place. Here we go, we'll try it again. Sergio Perez, oh, this time around we're going to put ourselves down towards the inside wall. And again, Checo, where is this confidence coming from? At least I guess it proves that the AI are way more racy with the new update there as well. We just nudged the wall. Is Sergio still going defensive? So clearly he's worried about me. But yeah, the AI, they're willing to have a fight, even on a track like Marina Bay.
Rain is forecast in just over 10 minutes' time. Rain in 10 minutes.
There we go. Rain has now been confirmed, so nice to know that that is going to be occurring later on in the Grand Prix. Probably somewhere around lap 20 we'll expect to see that, so surely we're going to have enough to get those hard tyres all the way there. Let's take a look what is the wear like at the moment. 22%. These tyres could really go all day if you needed them to, which is quite impressive. But yeah, are the AI going to do the same thing? I imagine Lando and Lewis are really going to struggle. Sergio Perez, myself, and Max Verstappen might still be in a really, really good spot.
Okay, mate, it's Perez ahead of you. They're holding us up now, so let's please try and get past as soon as possible and get on with our race. Push, push. Oh, mate, you made that look easy. Nice work. That's why I love working with you. Smashed it.
That is so funny. Mark hadn't even finished telling me what the objective was before we completed it there. Again, though, Perez so confident on the brakes at the end of that straight, so I think we need to be closer to him as we make our way out onto the Raffles Boulevard if we want to complete the move. You can see, though, this thing really does sit nicely over the curves. As Perez started to struggle on his tyres, just see him starting to understeer and oversteer in various places. I just cannot get a run off of the Anderson Bridge to save my life. Well, Oscar Piastri then must have picked up front wing damage at the start of this Grand Prix, and I've only just noticed it now because he's dropped off massively. There's a huge train of cars stuck behind him. Oh, Sergio Perez again tries to put me towards the wall. This time around there is contact. As we tried to squeeze Checo, he tried to return the favour, and I think he has lost his end plate then. I thought he was just going to back out of it, but he launched himself back into that gap, and that's surely now Sergio with some front wing damage, and he'll need to make an early pit stop in this Grand Prix. I believe Hulkenberg as well is completing a move on the other wounded car in this race, but that was not what we wanted to do. The battle between myself and Sergio Perez gets very heated as down the inside we'll go. Over the bridge, unable again to put the power down. Yeah, I just don't know what is there. The AI clearly have got a bit more than I have. But yeah, Sergio Perez, he's wounded. He's definitely going to have to box the end of this lap, though. Hopefully we're going to get round him before then. Maybe he can slow up some of the other AI. Yeah, it was hard battling right the way through, but I felt that time round we had the run. And he just wanted to continue trying to force the issue. So as we make our way through the final couple of corners, Sergio opts to stay out. Interesting. Oh, there we go. Lando Norris into the pit lane then at the end of lap 15. I did wonder whether him and Lewis were going to try and extend if they felt the rain was near. So it is going to be myself then up into the lead of the Grand Prix. This works out beautifully for us. Russell now up at a P2. And yeah, everyone, as you would expect, going over to the hards. I think there's still a little bit of uncertainty about when the rain's going to arrive. There's also a little bit of uncertainty in what my rear wheels are doing. Oh, there we go. Russell in, I'm sure, as well as a host of others. So very interesting then. Despite the fact the AI are able to take the mediums more than half distance, none of them want to risk it by bolting on a set of softs. Perez is going to get undercut by absolutely everybody here if he can't make it to the wet period. Have we got an update, though, on when that rain is going to arrive? Let's have a look.
We're expecting rain in about 10 to 15 minutes. Dries definitely seem like the fastest tyre at the moment.
They're definitely still adamant that rain is going to arrive before the end. But the problem we've got is that if it doesn't rain heavily enough, we're going to have to box. We won't be able to stay on these tyres to the flag. But that might mean we're susceptible to a big undercut. Oh, there we go. Sergio Perez, he's had enough. He's going to dive into the pit lane. But how much damage has been done? Charles Leclerc up to P4 then of the Grand Prix. So he's actually had a pretty good job getting through some of the slower cars. The same cannot be said for Max Verstappen now, who finds himself behind Yuki Tsunoda. So for the second year in a row, it looks like Red Bull seemingly slower than VCarb around this circuit, which is probably quite alarming. Perez is going to re-emerge, though, outside of the points. But Lando and Lewis closing in on me. I'm just hoping now that rain appears sooner rather than later. Well, this is an absolutely huge gamble by us. 10 laps to go with this Grand Prix. Hamilton, he's going 2.5 seconds a lap faster than me. What's even more worrying is Lando Norris seems to be going quicker than him, so I certainly think the win still is off the table today, but it would have been either way. But I just want to get a podium. That's all I really want. I would love another trophy to bring back to this Haas outfit. We've done so well so far this season. I think we've only had the 2 wins, though, haven't we? We haven't just had another podium alongside those. But could we bring home a trophy here in Singapore? Oh, that's what I want to hear. That's really good. That normally means the rain is at most a couple more laps out. But yeah, Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris swapping P2 behind me. I think they both know this is for the net lead of the Grand Prix. Unless that rain basically starts falling right now. Oh, there we go. Rain. Rain has finally started to fall then here at Marina Bay. And it's meant to fall quite heavily, quite quickly. We are just waiting for a chance to move over to the intermediates. As all Hamilton down the inside, stay out of the wall. Well, let both of them by. I don't care.
One of them might make a mistake and that lets us back in.
I don't care. I'm happy for those two just to run away. They are not the drivers I'm fighting with this afternoon. As now I think Hamilton and Norris know how important track position is going to be before the DRS, if it gets disabled, of course. But
10.5 seconds.
We got 10.5 seconds back to Charles Leclerc behind. I guess this also tests to see whether the AI now can make the switch to inters. Because, of course, we've seen it so many times. They just refuse. Oh, Norris, a power move to the outside of Hamilton down the end of the Raffles Boulevard. Has he hooked it up? Yes, he has. And I think it might be basically time to call. We had a race like this in Canada over on Mat 2 and 2 gameplay, and it pretty much started raining immediately. It was time to switch there, as other AI have. I think that's a Williams into the pit lane then. So other drivers really starting to struggle almost immediately. We have got to try and limp back around.
DRS will be offline. Wait for further updates.
it really does change over quite quickly inside F124, doesn't it? But surely we're going to see Hamilton and Norris into the pit lane. I mean, we've got no grip anyway. That's just trying to keep it out of the wall there. That was a bit scary. But yeah, gotta get back to the pit lane and bolt on those inters. We have lost so much time over the space of this lap. The AI definitely able to handle these conditions better than I can. Oh, you still get that snappiness from the front end on this game. But as Norris and Hamilton peel it in, you've got to be so careful. Otherwise you'll ricochet over those curbs. And you won't even get into the pit lane then. But in we dive. So does Leclerc behind. I'm sure Russell and everybody else is going to be making that call in. As, yeah, top two, obviously, you're going to be able to... No, Hamilton has been held up behind me. Luckily, he gets out in front of everybody else. But, again, the perks have been right down the far end of the pit lane here. So we should not get jumped.
That was a fantastic stop. Faster than we were expecting.
Well, I never thought I'd be saying this inside F124. Lance Stroll leads the Grand Prix. We know the Canadian is much more competitive in intermediate and changeable conditions. How long is he going to hang on to this one?
Okay, Nico's into the pits. Nico in the pit.
Oh, we got yellows out. We got yellows out. I think the drivers that have stayed on dries are really struggling immediately. Are we going to see anyone out? I think we are. Yeah, one of the Alpha Tauris or V-Cubs even looks to be out of the Grand Prix. Yuki Tsunoda.
Okay, they're out of this race.
Second year in a row that Tsunoda has retired.
Has been deployed. We need to give a positive delta here. Slow down and maintain a positive delta.
Well, in the last couple of days then, we've seen our first ever red flag, our first ever safety car, and staggeringly, it was the VSC that came last. I mean, Hamilton has been ultimately screwed by Daniel Ricciardo here under these changeable conditions because, oh, look at that, Hamilton! Oh, he went down the inside of Ricciardo as the Australian tried to peel into the pit lane there. I have never seen that inside the F1 game as Stroll's going to relinquish his lead of this race. Just 6 laps to go.
4.2 seconds.
But yeah, Hamilton actually got held up, so he was slower than the Delta simply because Ricciardo couldn't keep up. But has Lewis Hamilton now got front wing damage? And are we going to see our 7th different winner of the year if Lando Norris can bring this home? Well, a really sad reality for us then with 4 laps left is that Charles Leclerc is going quicker than me. The AI just clearly have an advantage at the moment, whether it's just this car not suiting the wet conditions around this venue, or whether it's something with the new update to F124, but Charles Leclerc might get me towards the end of the race. We might be still losing this podium that we have fought so hard for all afternoon. Oh, this is really sad. Really, really sad towards the end of the day. Charles Leclerc, we've basically spent, and with the exception of the battle with Perez, and when Stroll and Ricciardo stayed out one more lap than they should have, all day we have been inside the top 3 here, but with 3 laps to go, we just don't have the pace. The team are talking about potentially making a switch to full wet tyres. Not convinced I want to do that before the end of the afternoon as Leclerc thinks about it down in towards Turn 1. We'll wait patiently for now, but yeah, I mean, look at the understeer we've got as well, though. Trying to keep the car balanced, trying not to get too much over or understeer out of it. GSC, we're trying to get it dialed, but Leclerc is hounding me. I want to defend from him, I really do, but I'm not sure we're going to be able to do a lot. As here comes, oh, Charles Leclerc muscles his way to the inside there. I don't actually know if he was going to get fully alongside us. Oh, a little bit of contact as well at the top of the hill. We'll keep trying to defend or attack or whatever this is at the moment. Still side by side as Leclerc will put the power down. No, he won't. Gets a little bit of a fishtail. Commits around the outside, though nothing we could really do. And our podium chances evaporate.
Burn off some of this energy.
2 laps to go. Unless the AI make the call for full wet, which I would be staggered, I think our dreams are going up in smoke. Well, on to the final lap we go of the Singapore Grand Prix. And I've got to hand it once again. Marina Bay at night in the rain looks absolutely stunning.
Final lap. Okay, here's the gap that we're trading the car ahead by. 1.7 seconds.
I can still see Charles Leclerc in front of me. I'm still desperate to hang on from Russell and Alonso behind. But also I've noticed Alpine. I think they're actually going to score their first points of the year here. They're definitely a team that got buffed in the patch as well. So they're the only team yet to score so far this season. But I think, yeah, this result is going to bump him above VCarb.
Lightening up over the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. You should start finding more grip as we clear the standing water.
Well, funnily enough, Mark, on the final lap of the Grand Prix, I'm not too bothered about that. We're just looking to try and get to the end. I mean, this is surely got to be on the cusp between inters and full wet conditions. We are sliding around absolutely everywhere here, but we took a gamble in terms of the strategy. I'll be honest, I don't think it made much difference. I think once the rain arrived, Leclerc was always going to be clear of myself, which is such a shame to think about towards the end of the day, but, you know, we are going to be fighting with those guys in the future. I promise you all that much. But Lando Norris, he came P2 here last year. He watched Carlos Sainz take an emotional and potential final victory for Ferrari. This time round, though, it is going to be the McLaren man on top here in Singapore, becoming our 7th different winner of the season after both Red Bulls, both Ferraris, myself and Fernando Alonso. Lando Norris is our Formula 1 Grand Prix winner. And as we navigate our way through the final couple of corners, Hamilton will come through for P2, Charles Leclerc P3, and unfortunately for us, it is only good enough for P4. Come the checkered flag. Always got a pirouette to end.
And so the celebrations begin, and well earned they are indeed. It may have looked simple at times, but as any racing driver will tell you, competing at this level, at the very top, is anything but simple. There's no catching them now then. We have a new World Drivers' Champion. What a great race it's been then. Another classic Singapore Grand Prix, and they've held on to take the checkered flag here today. And look at that, they're making their way out onto the podium now. Great race for the McLaren team, and I'm very happy to see them there on the top step of the podium.
Well, there we go then. At the end of the Grand Prix, Lando Norris back on top in Formula 1. I guess technically in this universe, it's his first ever Formula 1 victory. They're ahead of Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, myself, and George Russell. But Max Verstappen will double check on the points whether he's actually world champion this weekend, because it doesn't seem to factor in sprint results, which is a little bit weird in its calculations there. The Dutchman P7, though, ahead of Carlos Sainz, Gasly, and Lance Stroll, picking up the final points-paying position there. Perez had an absolute stinker. P14 in the end. I'm not sure he actually ever changed the front wing on that Red Bull car. Hulkenberg somehow only finished P16, and Yuki Tsunoda, the first driver ever, excluding myself. No, Charles Leclerc did as well, didn't he? Tsunoda, you're not the first driver to retire from this series, but you are the first one to do so with a mechanical failure there. So Verstappen needs a 180-point lead if he's actually mathematically wrapped up the title. That is 6 lots of 26 points, which I believe adds up to 156, and another 24 for sprint wins. Has he done enough? No, he hasn't. In fact, Charles Leclerc, yeah, is still within 16 points, actually, of stopping him from wrapping up the title. It is officially just a 2-horse race. But yeah, Verstappen is actually not world champion just yet inside this series as well there. But yeah, you can see Leclerc now ahead of Sainz and Fernando Alonso. Russell, actually the gap between him and Hamilton closing in after this weekend, and we are now just 11 back behind Oscar Piastri, so maybe by the end of the year we can really try and hound that second McLaren driver. Like we said though, Gasly gets his first... No, Gasly doesn't get his first points of the campaign. Oh, he does, sorry, ignore me. Yeah, 2 points there for Pierre and the Alpine team. I mean, now, yep, it is Visa Cash App that are last in the Constructors' Championship as well. They're Williams. They might be under pressure from that Alpine team by the end of the year. The Constructors, though, like we said before, that might actually go down to the wire with Ferrari once again carving that gap down to just 113 points. But thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns tomorrow, ready for the US Grand Prix.